Membership pays for itself, starting at only $19.99 a month. What are you waiting for? Become a member today at Blue Sky Express Car Wash on Back Beach Road next to Home Depot. Tell them Coach Hill sent you.
I'm Matt Glover with Aero Pest Service, and we are your family-owned and operated pest control company in Bay County since 1977. Now's the time to have us supply our long-lasting custom blend fertilizer that is guaranteed to be the answer your lawn needs in order to stay green and beautiful all summer long. Give us a call today at Aero Pest Service, 850-874-1900. 850-874-1900.
Good news rarely comes in the middle of the night. Every year, 4.5 million young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 visit the ER.
It's every parent's nightmare. How serious is it? What hospital is she going to? Who should I call? Can I speak to the doctor? What's her roommate's number? What can I do?
Umergency gives you all the tools you need to quickly and effectively manage your family's emergency. Umergency provides instant access to vital resources customized to your student's campus and local community. Securely linked accounts to share vital data between family members. Digital consent form allowing family to speak with medical staff. Insurance card upload, instantly accessible when you need it. Built-in urgent alert button that notifies linked contacts to send help. Umergency gives you peace of mind when you need it most. Download your Umergency app now.
Life can throw a lot at us, but what helps us through it is knowing we have a place where we feel loved, grounded, and safe. A place where we belong. A place called home. But for thousands of youth living on the streets, there's no such thing as home. Out here, it's a predatory world that can destroy lives forever. At Covenant House, we care for homeless and at-risk youth, working in communities just like yours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Here, these kids will get a shower, clean clothes, nourishing meals, and a safe place to sleep. Our caring staff teach life skills, offer stability, and encourage kids to believe in themselves so they stay off the streets for good. We're committed to giving lost, scared, and hurting children a place to go, a place to call home. To help or get help, go to safeplacetosleep.org.
Atlanta Braves play here. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome into the Rib Crib Radio Room. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on a beautiful Friday afternoon. I've got Austin Siegel, Caveman Rick. I'm David Hayes. Welcome aboard. The Lightning had a big win last night, taking Game 5, 3-1. Caveman Rick, hit me with what you saw from the game last night.
Went the way I thought it was going to pretty much go. Early on in the game, great goaltending, a lot of good chances by both teams. Rangers got on the power play. What was it, the first time in the second period, I believe? And they didn't, get much done with that. I think only got like one shot in that first power play, so I was a little surprised there. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, man, the timely goal scoring at the end of the game, like they have been the last couple of games. Thought the game was actually going to go into overtime, and then you get a goal with a few minutes left, and then the big empty netter towards the end just to seal it. So kind of surprised. Thought the Rangers were actually going to take that game. They've been playing really well at home. So it's going to be tough for them now, playing tomorrow night in Emily to, keep it going. But I think the Rangers, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 games now they faced elimination, and they've stayed alive. So they got that streak going.
That is a fact. The difference is most of their games were at the house when they were, in that position. They had won 8 straight games at Madison Square Garden heading into that game last night. They lost their first one, and they lost last night. So that's only 2 losses in these playoffs. They've been incredible at the house. They haven't been that great on the road. But like you said, when your back's against the wall, things can happen. but they're playing against a team with a lot of experience, and it took a lot of failure for them to get to this point. I mean, this is still a crazy point to get to, talking about being on the cusp of going to back-to-back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. How do you think they'll match up with the Avalanche, though? Because the Avalanche are fantastic offensively.
Yeah, all right. We're already saying the series is over, I guess.
No, it's not over, but I'm saying, how do you think that they would match up? And give me your thoughts on the Rangers matching up with the Avalanche, too.
If you go, I guess.
I'm not saying the series is over, but it's over.
The way you were saying that is kind of like, all right, we're already moving on. So, okay. If you go offensively, I think you got to give the nod to, like on their shooting side, probably between Tampa Bay and actually the Colorado Avalanche. I would give the nod, I think, right now to the Avalanche, honestly. Lightning been doing really well. They got their normal guns, scoring lots of goals. But, I mean, those first two lines that Colorado have, even missing Kadri right now, they're awesome. They're young. You guys got a lot of older players.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you guys have gone, this is going to be the third year going deep into the playoffs. That's a lot of wear and tear and a lot of old bodies.
It really is, man.
So, and then moving on to the defense, I think you guys got the better defense. Okay,
even with Cale Makar?
Even with Cale Makar. I think overall, when you take all six of the defensemen that are going to be playing, I think overall you guys got the better depth. You guys got units that have been together for like a long time too, a lot of like synergy and stuff, okay? And then moving on to goaltending, Francouz has been really good filling in, but how can you go against Vasilevsky right now?
Yeah.
So I would give the nod to Vasilevsky. All right, and then if you wanted to go to special teams, special teams, power play, I would say probably Avalanche on that
gotta
side.
Be.
And then if you want to go to penalty kill, I would say you guys on the Lightning. So overall, you guys edge them out by like one of those categories, and I think you guys got it.
We'll see how it goes, though. Big game, Game 6 tomorrow night, and the way that the game ended last night, definitely going to be some fireworks. How often have you seen in the NHL playoffs, regular season, two former number one overall picks fighting?
I've seen it a few times. It doesn't happen very often, but
because those guys normally aren't fighters. I mean,
right.
it was a long time in the league. I think Stammer was probably 9 years in before he ever got into his first fight.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes you have to. I lived in St. Louis when Brett Hull got in a fight one time.
Oh, man.
And it was kind of crazy seeing him drop the mitts. But sometimes, and it wasn't a playoff game, if I'm not mistaken. You got to do what you got to do. You got to stand up for your boys. You got to stand up for your own sometimes, and do what you got to do. That's what's great about hockey. You can police yourself. You can police your teammates.
So they fought at the end of the game, zeros on the board, which that's kind of a rarity as well, right? To have it that blown out, like you had full-fledged fights going on, and so a lot of fun.
I've seen a lot of games like that.
That's a good point, but what I'm just saying, in the playoffs, that big of a game, kind of rare that the refs let it escalate as much as it did, and then it followed into not the stands, but into the exit of the arena because you had a Rangers fan just completely knock out a Lightning fan. Couldn't really hear why it exactly happened like that, but James Anastasio, 29 years old, has been given a lifetime ban because not only did he hit the Lightning fan, then there was a Rangers fan who tried to stop him because he started running away, and he hit him as well. So they finally caught him later, and he's been given a lifetime ban as well as several other charges. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, also 102.1 FM in Marianna, and we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and with our TV partner, Blab TV. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, download the new app, and register, all at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Real quick, maybe the Rangers assign that guy real quick to a contract after the end of last night's game.
He's not going to be able to get into the stadium.
Well, he's banned like as a fan, but like, hey, if you're running, that might be, if he's got a contract, that's a different story,
Oh my gosh!
Apparently, he can swing.
No doubt about it. They need an enforcer, huh?
I mean, they got Reeves. They got some
Trouba.
guys that can handle themselves. Trouba, yeah. So, I mean, I just got a joke. But, hey, you can see that he can definitely knock somebody out.
Sherry Manfield says, hey, from Maumelle, Arkansas. So, in the world of Florida State college baseball, we do have the regionals going, or the super regionals going on today, but the Mike Martin Jr. era is over at Florida State officially. He's been let go as the head coach of the Seminoles. They were 34-25 this year, which you look at that record and not a shabby record at all. You did make the regionals, you made the playoff tournament or the NCAA tournament, but they're just not going in that direction. So it's going to be the first time in 4 decades that Florida State is not led by a Mike Martin or a Martin family member. Tiger Woods making some news here, not even playing golf this week, next week, but he's joining Michael Jordan, LeBron James as athlete billionaires. That's what's dominating the golf headlines today rather than the second day of the Live Tour. Let's get into Oklahoma last night. They had themselves a big game. Not as big of a beatdown as it was in the first game of the set, but they won last night 10-5. They won the Women's College World Series. It's their second in a row, going back to back. 59-3 is what they went on the season. 40 of those wins came by the way of the run rule. Then they interviewed Jocelyn Allo after the game last night and was, she was very emotional because that was her last game as a college softball player. So big win for Oklahoma last night.
Yes, good for her too. I mean, Allo, I don't know a whole lot about her, but she's got to have like the all-time numbers in women's softball, I guess, or as far as for a slugger, because that chick's just money.
Dude, she can hit the tar out of the ball. Put it that way. You've been watching any Jocelyn Allo?
I saw her. I saw a couple clips on Sports Center, and
she could hit. There was one of them where it looked like they were. Maybe it is the College World Series field that they play on, where it looks like it could fit in a base. You know what I mean? It looked like they have a foul pole down the line where the stands are, and it looked like she would have put it over a 330-foot left field fence.
See, that's awesome, and it's a softball too. So I mean, like, I don't want to sound bad about women being a female, but like that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. Hey, that sport in general is very impressive, especially because of the pace that they play with.
Yeah, no doubt. And then like those chicks are tough. They play a ton of games. They're not, getting as much rest as some other guys do, just because there's the lack of, the funds a lot of times and just everything else. So those girls, man, they're soldiers. They go out there and work.
So Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, they finally reached their exit deal. This was announced right around the same time as Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC, but they've reached a deal with the American Athletic Conference. They'll be joining the Big 12, not this year, but next year, 2023. They're going to have to be paying $18 million apiece to exit the conference. The schools of that conference have been paying $10 million to exit in 4 annual payments through 2024, but they agreed to pay the extra $8 million spread over 12 payments from 2025 all the way to 2030. To leave next year. Which of these teams do you think is going to kind of, especially when Texas and Oklahoma do leave, probably 2025, which of these teams is going to be the face of the Big 12, if you will? What you got, Austin?
I think Cincinnati will just plug right in where Oklahoma was because, I mean, obviously they're already top 4 team. And, yeah, they lost, Desmond Ritter, and they lost Sauce Gardner and
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, they lost some big names, but I promise you they replaced him with some big names too. Because when you have a season like that, everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon. So with the transfer portal and with how recruiting is right now, I guarantee I haven't seen the recruiting stuff, but I promise you they probably landed some pretty good transfers and stuff. So I wouldn't worry about them right out. I mean, out of those 3, they're going to be perfectly fine out at the gate. The other 2 might have an adjustment season or 2. But, I mean, I still think they'll be fine. They won't be bottom of the conference or anything. But
for me, I think it's going to be Houston. I think that state's probably got more money than UCF and probably Cincinnati combined. So, like, they can offer a lot of money with NIL and whatnot and get people to come over and play. So, I think right off the bat, I wouldn't be surprised to see Houston do real well.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think all 3 of these teams will kind of fit into what it is that the Big 12 has been over the last few years. I love Austin's sentiment there because they could probably be the best team. Even with Texas and Oklahoma being in there, still, we don't know what's going to come from Oklahoma. Texas is poised to have a great season or seasons with what Sarkisian is doing in the recruiting world, but just because you recruit well doesn't necessarily translate into wins.
Oh, yeah, no. You could have a guy who's a 5-star come in and just completely fizzle out. Like, you never know how a guy will adjust to college. Like, I've seen so many guys that I've played with who, you look at their high school tape and you're like, wow, how did this guy not go D1, And you're thinking, oh, he's going to be a starter out the gate. But then all of a sudden you get him on a field with a bunch of guys who are really, really good. and they just look like, man, how did this guy even get a scholarship?
Yeah,
he can't catch anything. Like,
did you Photoshop that tape?
Yeah, it's just like, and I've seen so many guys like I just like my mouth drops. I'm like, how did they get recruited? Like, how did they make plays like that in high school?
The competition they were playing against, I guess.
It must have been. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that is the case. I mean, they might have been in a smaller school or something, but I mean, still, I mean, there are good football players everywhere. So I don't know. There's just you never know with a recruit. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss, and then there's guys who have terrible high school tape who walk on, and they end up being NFL players. Like you just never know how a guy will adjust.
It is crazy how all of that works out. But definitely interesting to start seeing these moves. And then when Texas and Oklahoma do come to the SEC, this is going to be it's going to be wild to see how the Big 12 is at that point. But if Texas and Oklahoma stay through 2025 until that time, then the Big 12 will have 14 teams for a little while. So they can play like kind of the rest of the conferences at that point in time for the first time in a while since Missouri and Texas A&M packed up and left for the SEC. So it'll be a lot of fun to check this out. And Luke Fickell, I mean, heck of a coaching job year in and year out. So, yeah, I think that they could definitely be the pride of the Big 12. But with UCF and Cincinnati, I mean, that's a lot of traveling for those teams to be playing in that conference. What else?
Used to it, man. Like the traveling now is not like what it used to be 25, 30 years ago. So I don't consider traveling to be so much of an issue anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's still a wear and tear, though. I mean,
it's still college, and I mean, I still get that, but like I said, I don't think you have those issues, the wear and tear. I mean, you're not sitting in coach all the time in those tiny seats, scrunched together. Those guys can stretch out. We've seen the kind of stuff that they have in the locker rooms, those big lounge chairs where they can go completely flat, and they got TVs, and they can play video games in them and all that kind of. It's like first class all the way, so I don't feel sorry for him.
He doesn't feel sorry for him.
They're good.
All right, man. We also had Braves got a big win last night, 8-game win streak. They're taking on the Pirates again tonight. Coverage starts right after the Afternoon Underdogs, 6 o'clock, and the first pitch is at 6:20. You can win choice prizes. All you got to do is listen to the Atlanta Braves. We got free eats from Barbaritos over here on 23rd Street. Listen to the Braves on our radio station, 104.3, 102.1, or the ESPN Northwest Florida app. We've got a trivia question about a recent game. What Brave recently had 3 home runs in 3 at-bats? He's a good one. He is a stud, and all you got to do is get on to the ESPN Northwest Florida app, answer the trivia question there, then you'll be entered basically, or we'll pick the winner at random. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be right back. Keep it locked in.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's destination for the Atlanta Braves.
Got him, swinging strike 3.
Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves are back.
Unbelievable.
And hungry for more. Listen to the world champion Atlanta Braves on a world champion radio station.
Rosario knocked the living daylights out of it.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather forecast for this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms, a blend of sun and clouds near 88. And it looks like a southwest wind about 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf 84. Showers and thunderstorms overnight, mostly cloudy in mid-70s. More showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
At Slim Chickens, we're known for our fresh, hand-breaded tenders, perfectly fried wings, great craft sandwiches, and more. We believe in the power of a shared meal, served in a friendly atmosphere by the best team around. And we're looking for motivated members to join our team. For a chance to work in a fun, fast, casual, friendly environment, text 3351 to 31063 to apply. Slim Chickens, Lynn Haven, Panama City, Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, and coming soon to Callaway. That boot store reminds you, a special day is coming up for a special guy. Some call him father. Around these parts, it's usually daddy. And when he's around, there's a feeling of safety and security. This Father's Day, that boot store has the perfect Western outfit for that special guy. A gift card works great too. That boot store next to Billboard Kia on 15th Street. Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday. 9 a.m. to 5:30 on Friday and Saturday. Remember Joe's motto, keep your Heavenly Father first in your life every day.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullet, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 850-215-6290.
When you have completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to play a little bit of Start, Bench, Cut today. Let me tell you guys, though, about Bay Handyman Services. They listen better, they plan better, and they build better. You can reach them at 850-753-5014 or bayhandymanservices.com. Start, Bench, Cut. Got some basketball, football, even some older football players here as well. A lot of these got from my buddy Terry Ross. Hope he's doing well. Appreciate you, Terry. Start off here with Ja Morant, Trae Young, Colin Sexton. Start, bench, cut. I think it's already in order, right? I'm going starting Ja Morant. I'll bench Trae Young. And even though my guy's from Alabama, I'll cut Colin Sexton, the Bull.
I go pretty much the way you're going, but I'm going to flip-flop Trae Young and Colin Sexton. I'm going to throw away Trae Young, and I'll bench Sexton.
Ooh, what you got on this one, Siegel?
I'm doing the same, and here's why. Because Trae Young
he said it. Here's
is not covering anybody. He's not guarding anybody. You get a lot of points out of him, but you're going to give up a lot. So I would rather take Colin Sexton because he'll play a little defense.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit bigger of a guard than Trae Young is, and I just think that's helpful. And Colin Sexton could shoot too, so
yeah,
I'd bench him.
Heck yeah, let's go, man. It's going to be interesting to see him be healthy and what if the Cleveland Cavaliers can build upon that. It's not even brief success, but like more than half a season worth of success that they had last year, and it just kind of all fizzled out at the end. But they're very young.
Yeah, well, they need big stars. They don't. Yeah. They're just all role players.
Yeah, that's true. But who is it? Evan Mobley? I think that they got over there. Yeah, I mean that kid's gonna be a stud. It's like a young, maybe Jason Tatum type in the making.
He's just once Evan Mobley puts on a little muscle because he's so like tall and skinny, he'll be great.
Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson, Jaylen Brown. K-Man Rick, start us off here.
All right, I'm going to start Klay Thompson. I'll bench Jimmy Butler, and I'll bench Jaylen Brown.
Go ahead.
I would start Jaylen Brown, actually, just with how he's been playing in the finals. He's like right now, he's probably the front runner for the MVP of the finals. So with how he's been playing. So I would start with Jaylen Brown. I would bench Klay Thompson. I'd cut Jimmy Butler.
Ooh, nice. Klay Thompson is one of my favorite players, at least for the Golden State Warriors. You know what I mean? Like, I never really liked the super team, even though they're not really a super team now, but when they brought in Kevin Durant, so I was like, I like Klay Thompson. Jimmy Butler during the playoffs is a totally different story than him during the regular season. Jaylen Brown is playing really good basketball. Playoffs is what matters, though, right? I'm going to start Jimmy Butler.
But you got to get to the playoffs.
You got it. Yeah, that's true. But I'm going to start Jimmy Butler. I'm going to bench Jaylen Brown, and I'll cut my dude, Klay Thompson.
Wow. Good job,
Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, or Mr. Willie or won't he play, Deshaun Watson. What you got on this one, K-Fan?
I think this one's pretty easy. I'm going to start Josh Allen. I'll bench Justin Herbert, and Deshaun is gone.
I think Josh Allen, dude's incredible. He's got 31 touchdowns over 4 seasons in the rushing department. That's more than Eddie George had in his first 4 years in the league. And there's a longer list of running backs that would absolutely surprise you as well. but I think Justin Herbert's winning the MVP this year. So I'm going to go Herbert starting. I'm going to bench Josh Allen. And then same way with you, I'll cut Deshaun. Deshaun's gone.
I would start Justin Herbert because I like how he's of those three, he's probably the most. Well, I'm just going to exclude Deshaun Watson because he doesn't count right now. But of those two, he's the more versatile. Josh Allen's got a really big arm, obviously, and he's a gunslinger. But I like quarterbacks who are mobile and can move a little bit, and that's more so Justin Herbert. So I would start Justin Herbert, bench Josh Allen, then Deshaun Watson's just
he's gone.
non-existent.
Let's look at some running backs here. Leonard Fournette, Najee Harris, or James Conner. Okay, man, keep starting us off.
All right,
I like it.
Najee Harris, I'll start off with him. I mean, he can do it all, run, catch out of the backfield. Pittsburgh, he's also, playing for a pretty good, stable team. So I'll start him. Leonard Fournette, he's had a great earlier on this season, or in his career. Then he had that time where he wasn't so great, and then being back with Tom Brady and stuff, he kind of had a resurgence. So I'll bench him, and then I'll get rid of James Conner.
Yeah, the good point of his career at the beginning was not in the NFL. That was at college, and then it was like, what happened? What did the Jaguars do? But then,
the team.
But later on in the year with the Tom Brady's with the Buccaneers, he definitely has proved himself a little bit more in the playoffs.
The right way, and I don't think he was in Jacksonville.
That's a good point. So I'll start Najee here. Even though they're saying that his workload could possibly be a little bit lighter, I think that's really just for the longevity of his career. I'll bench Leonard Fournette and cut James Conner, even though he had a heck of a year last year and is probably poised to do even better because he doesn't got Chase Edmonds to battle with this year.
Yeah, I actually had James Conner on my fantasy team, and I was expecting him to be like maybe a
plug
flex,
when you need
a
him,
flex option when I'm desperate type thing. Like obviously because he was going to be splitting reps, and then all of a sudden I sort of realized, like, wow, he's consistently getting like 15 to 20 points in fantasy every single week, and he's sharing the workload with Chase Edmonds. So I actually really like James Conner, but I'm not going to start him. I'll bench him. I'll start Najee Harris because Najee Harris is just, he had a great year.
Yeah.
He might end up being better than Derrick Henry.
Oh, yeah.
But Derrick Henry, the difference, I think, between the two is that Derrick Henry is one of those guys. Najee could do it as well, but Derrick Henry is a byproduct of how many carries that he's got. You know what I mean? Not just – even if you feed the ball to any running back over and over again, that's not necessarily going to turn into those yards, but he gets a lot more carries than anybody else, so that does help.
And James Conner, to your point, Austin, I did have him on fantasy as well, too, and he helped me win my league. And getting those points, he cannibalized a lot of touchdowns. He was the short yardage guy, goal line stand, so that's where a lot of those points came from, was getting those touchdowns. So, and Edmonds, he just wasn't that consistent throughout the year. But, yeah, that's, I think, his bonus for James Conner. The other two guys, I think, can do a little bit more than James Conner, and that's why I picked them. But
Jalen Hurts, Tua, Kyler Murray, Caveman Rick.
How can I not go with my boy Jalen Hurts?
You're going to start him?
I'll start him, yeah. I'll start him over both of them. I mean, Tua hasn't done a whole lot, and
true.
Kyler Murray's kind of fallen off the table, right? So then if I start...
just his Instagram.
So I'm going to start Jalen Hurts. I'm going to bench Kyler Murray. I think he's got a pretty decent-looking future. Tua, I don't think, his health's an issue. We've seen that he hasn't played so great in Miami yet. He's got some weapons. This is going to be the year he's got to prove it or lose it. So I'm going to bench him. Or cut him, I mean.
What you got, Austin?
I would actually start Kyler because quarterbacks like him are so difficult to tackle because you could have perfect coverage in the back end, and your D lineman will just be scrambling trying to tackle him. And if he's able to stay up for more than 3 or 4 seconds, eventually your DBs are going to fall off and guys are going to get open, and Kyler Murray finds them. So that's why I like Kyler Murray. Is just he's very, very. That's why he can survive in the league at 5'9" or whatever. Yeah. Maybe I'm not even sold that he's that tall. But so I would start Kyler.
Cleats, probably.
Oh yeah, with cleats.
Yeah, with the cleats.
So yeah, I would start Kyler, and I would bench Jalen because people rag on him a lot, but I do like him. He isn't bad. I think he hasn't had a good enough year to where he's like cemented himself as like a franchise quarterback yet, but I think he is steadily improving. So I do like him, and then Tua, I don't think he's going to have a good year this year. The Dolphins are going to win a lot of games, but it won't be because of him. It'll be because they have Tyreek Hill making plays. It won't be Tua, throwing him open and stuff. It's going to be guys around him making him look a lot better than he actually is.
Well, that's the greatest point of football. So, well, so then I want to say this, or Patrick Mahomes struggles this year. If he struggles this year, does that show even more so the value of Tyreek Hill?
Oh yeah, no. If Pat Mahomes does not have I mean, I know last year it wasn't by his standards a great year. It still was I'd say it was a good year. It wasn't a great year. He had a lot of picks and stuff, but I think it's because he's trying to get a little more aggressive in throws and stuff. But without Tyreek Hill, now he's down to realistically 1.5 options. That's Travis Kelce 1, and the half I'll give is Juju, depending on if he wants to
TikTok or play football.
Yeah, if he wants to actually play and not
he's gonna be
dance on
handing out
stuff.
with Jackson.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I don't know if Pat Mahomes has a bad year, that will absolutely drive up Tyreek Hill's price. Like,
and it's
he could probably go back to the Dolphins and go, hey, give me more. Because I mean, he shows he's worth it.
Man, great points there. I'm definitely starting Kyler here. Tua it is a prove it or lose it type year, and from the beginning. Whenever he got re-injured against, I believe it was Mississippi State, I was like, that if you can't do it in the SEC, stay healthy, I mean, how are you going to do that when every single player on the field is better than an SEC player by far? You know what I mean? Like, they're a professional athlete, a professional football player at the highest level. But I still think that this year could be a little bit different, not because of anything other than he's going to have longer than 2.2 seconds to throw the ball this year. He should have a better offensive line. It could prove beneficial. I'll go with Kyler start, and I'll bench Tua, and I'll cut Jalen. But it's so close with Tua and Jalen for me. Jalen's proved more to this point. I think heading into this year, because of the weapons, Tua could have the edge there. But if they win a lot of games and Tua has not great statistics, but you get to the playoffs, if you're in the front office, what decision do you make? Do you move on from Tua? Because the goal is not just to get to the playoffs. Once you get that taste, now it's Super Bowl, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Do you even say you go 11-6, but Tua was kind of pedestrian? What do you do?
Go ahead, Austin.
I think with the weapons that he has, you need to make a run. Like, you can't have a mediocre to good year. You need to have at least a great year, because they have gone all in on getting everything they need. They got Chase Edmonds, they got Tyreek, obviously. I mean, you can't sign
Sony Michel. They got a lot of running backs.
You don't sign guys like that without the intention of making a run. So they are all in on making a run this season. And if Tua doesn't allow, if Tua holds them back even a little bit, they're going to get rid of him, and they will go get somebody else in the draft.
Now I wonder how much. Can't think, man, I'm blanking on former head coach of the Dolphins. Who was it? Brian Flores. All right, so apparently their relationship was very rocky. Could the change in scenery, the new coach and Mike McDaniel having a little bit more care, I guess, for his quarterback, could that change? Because the Dolphins starting to find out now that they had a trade in place for Deshaun Watson in October last year. So that lets you know already, like, there's just not a lot of faith in the head coach there, the quarterback at that time. Yeah. So I'm wondering, will Mike McDaniel be able to make a change? Not make a change, but help his growth. We'll have to see, though, because
we need to ask Boston Tim.
Yeah, we really do. But if they don't get what they need out of Tua, they still got Teddy Two Gloves in the back, ready to take over. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham Jr., a little trio of LSU wide receivers.
For me, I'd be starting Justin Jefferson. Overall, I think he's got the better career so far than all three guys. Jamar Chase, we've seen what we can do with Joe Burrow. The guys got to the Super Bowl. And OBJ, I mean, he's had his times where he's been pretty good, and he's also been like a knucklehead. So I'm going to get rid of OBJ.
All right. I'll start. Man. I'm going to start Jamar Chase, bench Justin Jefferson, and I'll cut OBJ. But it's really close for me with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is catching balls from Joe Burrow. Justin Jefferson is catching balls from Kirk Cousins. And that's no slight to him, but come on. You know what I mean? Where you at, Austin?
Yeah, I actually agree. I like Jamar Chase. Like, one thing that stood out to me is I saw a couple weeks ago there was an interview that Joe Burrow did, and they were asking about the Super Bowl and how that last final play where he was rolling out. It was a fly. Jamar Chase run a fly. He beat the corner by like 5 yards. It was a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Joe Burrow got sacked and didn't get a good ball off. But
and Aaron Donald got $30 million a year after that.
I never noticed that he was open. So after seeing, like, okay, if the O-line blocks for a half a millisecond longer, literally, Joe Burrow will at least have enough power in his arm to sling it. Because he was wide open. Like, I don't remember who the DB. It might have been Jalen Ramsey, actually.
Might have been, because he got beat. What it was? The first play of the second half, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now I remember. I'm 99% sure it's Jalen Ramsey.
Who else is Jalen going to be on at that point?
On him.
Especially biggest play of the game at that point.
So the fact that he was that open, I mean, you got to be against a very good corner. Like some people say, one of the best in the league. Yeah. That shows you right there. As a young receiver, he's gonna be crazy. Like He'll be really, really, really special.
Once they get more tape on him, though, a little bit more tape, it might make it a little difficult.
Oh, yeah.
It's only been a year.
That's a good point, too. All right, we're going to keep it rolling when we get back, and then also got a question for Mr. Austin Siegel. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You can listen here or on the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
Maybe if I had something to save, I used to have a soul until I did.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Greeny on ESPN Radio. Who's next? Who's next?
You forgot my name, didn't you?
I did. Well, what did you say it was again?
It's Cam, and up next is Cam.
Cam Greeny. They just put on the screen. Cam Greeny.
Add the comma, for God's sake.
That's pretty good. Yeah, there should be a comma, Lorenzo, between the Cam and the Greeny. Go ahead, Cam. Who's next?
Greeny, weekdays 2 to 4, ESPN Northwest Florida.
I have some great gift ideas for you here at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves. We have a large selection of 14-karat charms starting at just $19.95. Engrave a personal message and add a special coin for your dad's birth year on a money clip or keychain. And a beautiful designer Bulova watch is a perfect gift that will be treasured forever. Always a perfect gift for any occasion. From Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves, where our reputation shines as brightly as our diamonds.
Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS & Associates. We represent private insurance providers using multiple nationwide PPO networks for pre-negotiated discounted rates and no copays, no co-insurance, and no deductibles. If you're interested in a quote, give us a call or text 502-386-1128 and provide us your zip code and the ages and gender of those to include. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
Living on the Gulf Coast, we have beautiful beaches, clear water, and amazing marine life. Want to bring a piece of the ocean into your home or office with an amazing aquarium? Gulf Coast Aquarium, the area's only certified platinum CChem dealer. Their staff are all certified CChem specialists. Gulf Coast Aquarium can install, design, maintain, and finance your own piece of the Gulf. Gulf Coast Aquarium, powered by CChem, with over 40 years as a U.S.-based manufacturer of quality aquarium products. Online at GulfCoastAquarium.com. Gulf Coast Aquarium, where it's more than just a tank.
From the Florida Panama line to the Gulf of Mexico, from the Upper Grand Lagoon to McKenzie Park, we are live and local.
Whether you like it or not, you have a gift.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Rib Crib Radio Room. We've got Austin Siegel, Caveman Rick. I'm David Hayes. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. Oh, we're not going to move on to the NBA Finals. We'll save that for when we need some more content because I did light prepping today, expecting lots of voices, and here we are. Let's finish up some start bench cut here. Let's go to some Alabama wide receivers this time. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, or Amari Cooper. Caveman Rick.
For me, it's kind of easy. Devontae Smith, I'm going to start him. I mean, I'm an Eagle, and, he had a really good season last year. Hopefully he'll have a really good season this year, having some help over there with A.J. Brown. I'll bench Jalen Waddle. I think he had a pretty good season last year. He might have a really good season this year because of, Tyreek Hill being there opposite him. So he might not be getting double teamed, and he'll have like some single coverage and can get open. Mari Cooper, I think the guy's been pretty much a dud. Get rid of him.
You can go ahead.
I had, funny story, I had Devontae Smith and Amari Cooper on my fantasy team. They were both some of my early picks. Amari Cooper's actually my number 1 pick. And I was so upset. Amari Cooper, first week, he had, I mean, if I remember correctly, I want to say 41 points.
Yeah, he had a big week,
very first week. And I'm sitting there going, oh, it's over.
Great pick.
And
this
then
is my
the very next week, he comes out and puts like 6 up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my God. And then he gets hurt. And then he comes back and gets up in like a 9-point game. And then he comes back and gives me 11. I'm like so inconsistent. He had a horrible year. It might have been because CeeDee Lamb was kind of popping off.
That's what I think. Attribute it to most to, but who knows? You never know. You know what I mean?
I mean, it could have been a combination of things. I just was really disappointed in Amari Cooper, and he really did not play as well as I thought he would. Devontae Smith, I kind of expected him to be a mid-tier guy. It was his rookie year, so you can't really expect much. I think he performed well as a rookie. I do like Devontae Smith, so I would start Devontae Smith. I would bench Jalen Waddle, and I would cut Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I think that I would start Jalen Waddle just for the electric factor. Devontae Smith, both of these guys, I mean, have potential to be great receivers in the league. But I'll start Jalen Waddle. Devontae Smith, I think with A.J. Brown, I think he'll have an even better year this year. And like you said, Jalen Waddle's not going to have to deal with as many double teams as what he was dealing with last year. Hopefully they have a little bit more time to let him get downfield. But that's kind of the thing about his speed is it doesn't matter where. Same with Tyreek Hill. It doesn't matter where you get him the ball. If he's got 3 feet of space, if he's got a yard in between him and the next guy, he's getting past him. And then I'll cut Cooper as well. You know how it is with wide receivers, man. That shelf life is longer than running backs, but it ain't forever. And it also is very dependent upon the quarterback that you're going to be playing with. And now, is it Jacoby Brissett? Is it, Mr. Massage himself, Deshaun Watson? Who knows what it's going to be? Let's go to some old classic Cowboy quarterbacks here. Troy Aikman, Dak Prescott, Tony Romo. Start, bench, cut. Cut them all.
No, I'll be honest here. Terry, I guess these are all right picks. I think you could have maybe picked one different.
Terry dropped off after the Leonard Fournette, and then
really?
I did the rest of those.
Right on. Right, so yeah.
So
right,
David, you could have done a better job.
So how can you not start Troy Aikman? He's the only one there with Super Bowls. Plural, you know what I'm saying, had a really good career, so I'd start him. And then if you're going to make me pick one between Dak and Tony Romo, I guess I'll bench Tony Romo, and Dak Prescott really hasn't shown me a whole lot, so I'll get rid of Dak Prescott.
What you got on this, Austin?
You guys might call me crazy for this, but I would start Tony Romo, and here's why. So Tony Romo, a lot of people don't realize, but Tony Romo was a incredible athlete. And I think that when the years that he was with the Cowboys, he wasn't the franchise was kind of in disarray for a lot of his career there, and he didn't really get I feel like if he had the opportunities that Troy Aikman had with all those guys that he was surrounded with, I think Tony Romo would have been so much better. They wouldn't. Constantly.
He wouldn't be broadcast.
No, he wouldn't be broadcasted negatively by most Cowboy fans and stuff. And if you notice, when Tony Romo left, they got, kind of lucky in finding a gem with Dak Prescott. But Tony Romo was a lot of people were sad to see him go. Even me, I'm not even a Cowboys fan, and I was sad to see Tony Romo stop playing because he was always fun to watch. He was, every once in a while, he'd do something exciting.
Yeah, that's true.
I would start Tony Romo as long as you give him a lot better weapons than what he had with the Cowboys. And then I would bench Troy Aikman, and I'd cut Dak Prescott.
Yeah, when it comes to Tony Romo, man, such a polarizing figure because it was, for a lot of people, unless maybe you're a Cowboys fan, it was either love or hate the guy. You know what I mean? And I always found myself more on the hate side of just not being able to get it done in the big moments. I agree 1,000%. Honestly, you put Dak Prescott or Tony Romo on those old Cowboy teams that Tony Romo was winning with, they're still going to be doing the same thing because it was a lot of Emmitt Smith. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
great line play too.
So I don't know.
That's even better for Dak and Tony Romo.
I still think Troy Aikman's got more skill than both of those guys. I don't see it. If
Tony Romo definitely got more skill with the broadcast
and with the putter maybe,
and with the putter.
the 9-iron.
Man, this one's actually tough for me because I was thinking about it. I think that I would stick with what Caveman's got, though, and I would still, because we can play the what-if game all we want to, but Troy Aikman was the guy to get it done, even with a great roster and great coaching as well. I'll start Troy Aikman. I'll bench Dak and cut Tony Romo just so that we can get him into the booth a little quicker, because he's doing a great job with that. And then last but not least, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Dan Marino, Caveman, Rick, what you got? Start, bench, cut him.
All right, for me, people are probably going to like my picks, but I don't really care on this one. I'm going to start Dan Marino, even though he didn't win anything in his career, unfortunately. But the guy had a heck of an arm, and he was a soldier. I mean, that guy was playing with, like, braces on both of his knees by the end of it, you know. So start him. Peyton Manning won a few Super Bowls, really cerebral. I mean, the guy knows the game inside and out, and he's great commentating as well outside of the game. And I just can't. I got to get rid of the cheater. No matter how many Super Bowls and how many people like him, See you later.
What you got, Austin?
Garbage can.
Regardless of how he wins, he wins. So
You got to win the right way.
Hey,
when you got 7 of them, I think you can win some of them the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding, Caveman.
You're cool.
He at least won one of those fair. I mean.
Right. But he wouldn't even had the choice to go over there and do the kind of things he did had he not had the previous ones before that.
That's fair. Okay. Well, regardless, I still think he can sling it.
That's cool. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
I would take Tom Brady all day. I mean, he's probably going to go down as the greatest.
I think he's already kind of achieved
like
that.
I said, unfortunately, though, with the dark clouds, I just
there's going to be an asterisk. I mean, for sure. But deflating footballs, you still got to make the reads.
I'm still talking about Spygate before that.
That's true too. That wasn't him that did that.
That was so damning that the NFL got rid of the evidence. That should tell you something right there, man.
That was Bill Belichick. That wasn't him. Tom Brady wasn't in the stands with a camera.
He was still part of that. And he still used the information to help win. He was an accomplice. He was aiding and abetting.
Win, baby, win. Win, baby, win. That's the whole.
He was obstructing justice.
He was finish your star pitch cutoff. See what you got here.
So I would start Tom Brady. I would bench Peyton Manning, and I'd cut Dan Marino.
I like that someone at least out of our group is gonna start in Dan Marino. You started Dan Marino, right?
Definitely, yeah.
I'm gonna do it a little bit different. I think Peyton Manning was a better quarterback than Tom Brady, but Tom Brady is probably the greatest champion to ever do it. And he's still one of the greatest quarterbacks, no doubt about it. I'll start Peyton. I'll bench Mr. 7 rings Tom Brady, and then I'll sadly, but got to do it, cut Dan Marino. So that does it for start, bench, cut. When we get back, I want to ask Austin a question about football and the game in the trenches and how important that is to the game, but it's lost on a lot of people. So we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Dan Patrick Show.
And I do think Draymond knows the end is near. That's why he's really kind of dedicated a lot of his time to being in the media. And that's fine. But I think for him to be out there thinking that he's something that he's not, that's really damaging to the Golden State Warriors.
The Dan Patrick Show. Every weekday morning, 9 to 11 on 102.1 and 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey, cheesy, crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously. But as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs, with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5, and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food, on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Damsel in Defense presents Defend Your Stance. Got an opinion? Time to defend it. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is time to defend your stance. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, Caveman Rick, Austin Siegel in the building. This is Defend Your Stance. It's brought to you by Emerald Coast Damsel Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense. Caveman Rick, tell us about the latest and greatest going on with you guys.
We're going to be at Fort Walton Beach this weekend at the fairgrounds. Come and see us. We can take care of all your women's personal defense needs, from stun guns, striking tools, concealed carry purses, you name it. We got it for you. Come out and see us. Tell us you heard us about on the radio. We'll give you a good deal, and we're always happy to help and make people safe. We pity the fool who don't use our tool.
There you go, man. We got a text in from Chicken Wing Paul. He says, when your team scores more than the other team, that's the proper way to win.
He's not right. He's not right. He's not wrong. That is the goal. You are supposed to outscore the other team, but again, you're supposed to follow the rules and do it the correct and proper way.
Follow the majority of the rules.
I don't know why we're playing the games, and have the rules set up the way we got them.
That's what. If you want to play like that, go play golf.
Hey, we see what golf's doing now too.
That's true. See, so you're way behind the train, man.
Integrity, yo.
This is Defend Your Stance. Coming up next, we're going to be talking to Super Bowl winning quarterback Brad Johnson. Let's go Jason Tatum, Steph Curry, or anybody else for the Finals MVP. What you got, Austin?
Right now, I think it's going to be Jaylen Brown. He's just been
lights out,
ridiculous. Every time I've been at Rib Crib working, cleaning tables and stuff, and I'll just be watching TV. And every time I'm watching, Jaylen Brown is doing something.
Yeah.
So my money would be on him right now.
I like that, and I wonder what the odds would be for it, because I'm sure that it wouldn't be as high. Maybe right now it would be, but going into this series, I think that it would have been like Tatum, Steph, and maybe Draymond, and then Jaylen. So it would be I'm curious as to what the odds would have been heading into that. But yeah, the kids. I mean, what Brown and Tatum have done. I was listening to somebody on one of the shows, Dan Patrick or Colin Cowherd today, and they were talking about how if you talk to a majority of basketball writers about halfway through the season, they were talking about, and a lot of Celtic fans as well, were talking about, is it time to go ahead and split Tatum and Brown up? And now look at what they're doing. It's a lot of fun to watch them. Who you got for MVP?
I like what Austin was saying, but I'm thinking like how I think most of the people are going to vote. And I know it's the finals MVP, and it's supposed to be just the finals, really. But, Tatum's had such a great playoff year this whole year, in all the series. So I think if they end up winning, it's going to go to him. And it's not just going to be dictated upon just this past series, but what he's done cumulatively throughout the playoffs, kind of like a Conn Smythe trophy in the NHL. Is the way I think most people look at it.
I'll go with, if Golden State wins, I think it's none other than Steph, right? He's never got a Finals MVP before, so this will be his first one. I think voters will be biased in that sense as well, unless someone else just kind of takes but he's been the best player on the floor, definitely in games 1 and 2. If it's Boston, I think it would be Jaylen Brown at this point, because he has really put the team on his back. Tatum hasn't been scoring to the same amount of what he was in the first few rounds But it would be fun to see Al Horford get it. I know that he's not playing well enough to get it, but that's another one of those.
Like kind of like Iguodala getting it.
Yeah.
Was it like about 6 years ago?
Yeah, with Golden State.
Yeah, kind of coming out of nowhere, and like who would have thought that?
Yeah, exactly. But Al Horford, why not? Your first time winning the NBA Finals, and you get the NBA Finals MVP. Let's talk about the trenches and in the world of football, college, NFL. How important? I know that you're a linebacker, but still, just speak to the importance of the guys, the forgotten guys, the offensive and defensive linemen, and is that truly where the game is won?
Yeah, if you have a good O-line, you can make a bad running back look good. We've had running backs that I've played with who, I'm not gonna say were bad, but they weren't like anything. There wasn't anything significant about them. They were just a guy who, you can give him the ball and
get some yards out of him.
He'll run. But if you have a bad O-line, a guy like that will just drown. Like he'll sink so fast, and it's clear. Now, very few guys in this world can play with a bad O-line and still survive and still get yardage. And I would say, if you give Derrick Henry a bad O-line, he's still probably getting yardage. Not as much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore's a tank.
I don't. He don't even need an offensive line.
You can just give Frank Gore the ball in the open field with nobody.
Yeah. He'll get a few yards.
I'll try to think of what the actual name is and not what we called it, but one person has the ball and everyone else is tackling.
I can call it something, but
no, because I think our minds are in the same place right now. Kill the carrier.
Kill the carrier.
Yeah, all right. That is the PG rated version of that. Man, dude. So the field that we used to play on back in the day, like when I lived in St. Pete, it used to be a church parking lot. So we had 2 school buses parked in the back of it, and that's what we would use for our extra points. So if we would line up for extra points, and if you kick the ball and hit the window, then it was extra points. But we also had parking stubs, the concrete things.
Yeah, so you can't roll over them.
So yeah, it was there was a lot of blood involved when we played Kill the Carrier. Wow. And not very smart of us.
Yeah, we didn't play it like on black tops or anything like that. It was always
Chicken
like
wing.
in a field, and there was grass involved, and fortunately we didn't have to worry about stuff like that.
Chicken Wing Paul just he just hit me with what we're thinking about when we think of kill the carrier.
Kill the man is what we just called it.
Yeah, kill the man. There you go.
The clean version.
Who's your favorite announcer in all of sports? Or you can give it to, if you've got separate ones in certain sports, you can go that way. Caveman Rip.
All right, all time, I guess my favorite person, I guess I'd have to say, just because of like listening to stuff, games and whatnot in the car with my grandpa driving around. Harry Callis, the radio announcer and the TV announcer for the Philadelphia Phillies, was always pretty good. But like overall, like nationally televised kind of stuff, I always liked the pairing of Bill Clement and Gary Thorne for hockey. Both of those guys always worked really well. Clement, of course, was like the color guy, but Gary Thorne was like the actual the broadcaster or the play-by-play man. So I liked him a lot. And then I guess I'll give of course, you got him, Madden and Summerall, so I'll say Summerall too, because Madden was the color guy. So
boom,
Pat Summerall.
What you got?
I as a play-by-play guy, I do like. There's a lot of them out there currently, but I'll tell you the one that I don't like. I can't stand Joe Buck. Joe Buck is horrible.
I'll agree.
I've obviously I've studied this stuff in college, and they teach you what good announcers do and what bad ones do.
So in college, he's referred to as don't follow his way.
He's terrible.
What are some things that they point out?
Well, one of his biggest issues is Joe Buck. He's so monotone, and he doesn't give any excitement into
passion,
his voice.
No emphasis.
You'll have a huge play, it'd be a game-winning Hail Mary, and his tone will be the exact same as if it was a 3-yard run up the middle in the first quarter.
Yeah,
it's
he's a robot.
It just kills. When you watch.
Are you surprised ESPN picked him up?
I don't know how he has a job.
I told you, it's
terrible.
his dad. He's riding the coattails of his dad. That's how he got his job. I'm the same way with Jack Collinsworth. I think he's kind of a knucklehead, and because of who his dad is, and what his dad's been doing for years, even before announcing on NBC, he was on Inside the NFL on HBO and stuff, and that's just what's going on. It's like this cronyism, this like caste system that we almost have in the country right now. Where like, you don't have to know anything or be talented; you just have to know somebody or be related to somebody and have the same last name.
Yeah,
that's how you get a job.
I'm changing my name tomorrow to LeBron James.
Good. Yeah.
Woods.
Oh, Tiger Woods.
Jordan.
Or I could be like Lion Woods or something. People would be like, what in the world is this dude doing? One more here. I haven't done mine. Favorite. Tony Romo's up there, but play-by-play is going to be Gus Johnson. I love the way you talk about exciting. Oh, and also Kevin Harlan. Kevin Harlan's great when it's in the world of basketball. I really like Mike Breen with ESPN.
Carl Ravitch.
Carl Ravitch. John Sciambi I'd rather have for baseball.
Brett Musburger.
That's a classic too, man.
What about who has it with Herbstreit? Fowler?
I love man. Yeah, Chris Fowler. Because does he do it with him still?
Or is sometimes. I don't know about all the time, but I know they did, and I know that was pretty decent.
Yeah, I've always loved. We used to watch these. My dad had VHS of like ESPN bloopers and stuff, and it would be like bad. It would be funny plays and stuff, or like them messing up on in the studio or whatever. And Chris Berman was huge in those, and then Chris Fowler as well. So I've always been keen to both of those guys. Coming up, we've got Brad Johnson going to be on the line with us, y'all. Stick with us.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Braves country.
This is unbelievable.
The Atlanta Braves are on an amazing 8-game winning streak. Can they keep it going tonight versus the Pirates? Coverage starts at 6 right after the Afternoon Underdogs on your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather forecast for this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms, a blend of sun and clouds near 88. And it looks like a southwest wind about 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf 84. Showers and thunderstorms overnight, mostly cloudy in mid-70s. More showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
The brand new Burger King in Weewa Hitchka is looking for managers and team members. You'll get to use your smile and personality and get paid for it. You'll be responsible for getting guests excited about their experience every day at Burger King. You'll get to work in a safe, productive environment that allows employees to thrive and advance with career opportunities. Burger King promotes from within. They offer training and development, flexible schedules, employee meal discounts, and scholarship opportunities. Burger King is an equal opportunity employer. Interested job seekers should text 007-8075 to 31063 to apply. Must be at least 16 years of age.
PCB Coins and Cards is the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, coins, and trading card games. PCB Coins and Cards carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Coins and Cards has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel, rookie, game used, and autograph cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? Bring it in and let us take a look. We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Coins and Cards on Back Beach Road just east of Florida Linen. Call them today at 850-320-8388.
Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers on Panama City Beach. Fresh, never frozen chicken tenders fried to perfection and served with their famous signature Guthrie sauce. Guthrie's box, snack, and chicken sandwich are sure to please. And for larger gatherings, try the family meal or Guthrie's Chicken Finger Bucket. Let Guthrie's cater your next event. Find their daily specials on Facebook on Front Beach Road across from the Beach Shopping Center. Since 1965, fresh, hot, and fast. Now available on DoorDash and Uber Eats.
This is where history is made. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Rib Crib Radio Room. So excited to be on the phone line here with Brad Johnson. You should follow him on TikTok for the greatest trick shots. We've got Big Brad 14 is his username. Brad, what's going on, my man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you.
Hey, appreciate you giving us some of your time. So I had a couple of my the guys who kind of fill in on the show and stuff, and they've been sending me some great questions. So asking you some great stuff today. What is the most incredible pass that you've thrown in your memory?
Wow. Well, I think the most memorable play that I had was actually the touchdown pass myself, where I was playing for Minnesota, and basically we're on the 3-yard line, and I dropped back and I threw a pass, and the ball got deflected to me, and then I caught it, and then you cannot make 2 double passes, forward, and I scrambled and dove into the end zone, and this was against the Carolina Panthers when I was in Minnesota, so it counted as a touchdown pass and a touchdown catch, and 12 points for fantasy football, and it was the one of SP for Play of the Year, that kind of thing. But one of my favorite throw that I ever threw, honestly, was where I was playing with the Minnesota Vikings, and Chris Carter was just an incredible Hall of Fame receiver, and I was scrambling against the Denver Broncos about the 20-yard line, rolling to my right, and I knew the guy was kind of undercutting him, and I threw a ball kind of almost out of bounds, and he was unbelievable. Chris Carter was unbelievable as far as making grabs with his hands and getting 2 feet in bounds, and it's just a phenomenal play by his part. But it was my best throw. They'll never remember it, but it was on his Hall of Fame reel.
Awesome, Brad. That's actually the question I was wanting to ask you about, was that touchdown pass to yourself. So you naming that as one of your biggest, memorable plays. That's pretty cool. So like piggybacking off of that, then if I could, what was it like playing overseas for the London Monarchs? And with all the, the buzz with the NFL going overseas and playing right now, do you think it's going to be a lot more viable in the future, with the fan bases and, the economy and just growing the game overseas like that?
Yeah, 1995. I didn't play very much at college, and in my first 3 years in the pros, I didn't play at all, really, besides maybe getting in the last snap of a game. So I needed game experience and just go be the leader of a team, go make plays, go make mistakes. And it was a 10-game season that took place in the off season, and so basically I knew the system in Minnesota when I was with the Vikings. So I just went and learned that system. It was tough for guys that had to. After the World League, come back to a team and learn a whole new system to be ready for training camp. So, but it was beneficial to me. There were 6 teams over there. It was London, where I played, Scotland, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, Dusseldorf, and Barcelona. So it was an awesome opportunity. And but the league, they've been trying to do this for a while. They've been playing preseason games over there since the 90s, and over in Germany and London and all these different places now, Mexico and Japan and all of it. So the league is definitely trying to expand and go worldwide, but it's tough. It's really tough on players doing that kind of travel. It'd be tough for a team to have a franchise over there just because there's so much transition, so many transactions that take place during the course of the season. So it'd be interesting how they would do their home base. But at some point, I'm sure they're going to try to make it happen. But as a player, I don't think they would want to do it, but you're going to go wherever you have a job.
That's a great point. Brad, who is the most fun teammate that you had on the field?
Holy smokes. I mean, they go great characters. I mean, John Randall up in Minnesota, Corey Stringer, who actually passed away, was one of the funniest people ever. My right tackle that we had, and Chris Walsh was my roommate in Minnesota. Just great friend, great teammate. But I mean, just the likes of Tampa, just the likes of a Warren Sapp, a Simeon Rice, and just I don't know. The list goes on. So just it's kind of crazy thinking back in the day of all the great players to play with and against.
Awesome answer, man. And to go off of that, then, what was the most fun you ever had on the field, you would say? I mean, would it be winning the Super Bowl, or is there another point in time in your career where you just had such a great time with something happening that it takes the place of that?
Yeah, I think winning the Super Bowl is probably the most memorable, obviously, just because of the magnitude of accomplishing that goal. But I think actually the week before was probably it felt like it was a Super Bowl for us. When I was in Tampa, we played the Philadelphia Eagles, and they'd been our nemesis and for so many years and beat us in the playoffs and those kind of things. And both teams have now had so many different Hall of Famers and those kind of things. But I guess, closing down the vet, the last game of in the NFC Championship, last game ever in Bet Stadium in Philadelphia was probably one of the coolest memories we had, just because they were just such a tough team to play against. But I had great moments and memories in all the places I played, and I think in Washington, winning the NFC East. In Washington, they hadn't been in the playoffs in 7 or 8 years, and winning that in 1999 and doing and beating San Francisco 49ers on a Sunday night game to clinch the division, throwing 471 yards is pretty cool evening.
All I got to say is ouch to that, because I'm an Eagles fan, bro. And I remember that game in 2002 closing out the vet, and I was really hoping we'd win that last game. But, man, kudos to you guys.
Yeah, it was an awesome. I mean, I think there's so much respect between both teams. And, I mean, every game is never a pretty game. It was going to be ugly both ways, and just kind of, whoever had the most Band-Aids to stick over the wounds on those kind of games, But it was just so many great games we had with them, and obviously that was a special moment for our team.
Was there a certain defensive back or defensive back grouping that you did not look forward to playing that week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Philadelphia. I mean, you had Brian Dawkins and Bobby Taylor and Al Harris and Troy Vincent. I mean, it doesn't get much tougher than that. And Jim Johnson was defense coordinator, dialing up blitzes on you. And then always, Pittsburgh Steelers were just, golly, they were a force. You didn't know where the blitzes were coming from. And Bill Cowher was the head coach with them. And, I mean, Jeff Fisher in Tennessee was tough. And then I think about all the days playing against Green Bay Packers with Reggie White and Leroy Butler and, safety. And so, and then again, I was always playing against Tampa Bay. When I was in Washington, Minnesota, actually in Dallas too. But, they had John Lynch and Rondé Barber and Dexter Jackson and Brian Kelly. So just played against many, many great corners and great players.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on with Super Bowl champion Brad Johnson, also the father to Max and Jake Johnson with Texas A&M. You yourself, you were an all-state basketball player in high school. You played basketball and football at Florida State. What was your best game there? And then also talk to the point of what was the hardest point of being a two-sport athlete in college?
Yeah, I think my favorite game as a basketball player at Florida State. It was in 1987, the year before Louisville with Never Nervous Purvis Ellison. They had won the national championship, and then 87 we were playing them. And I started the game. I only had like 8 points, but had 6 assists and 4 or 5 rebounds. But it was just a great moment to know that we beat the team. The year before I sat there and watched on my couch win the national championship. So that was a pretty cool moment. I was very fortunate with Bobby Bowden as the head coach at Florida State and Pat Kenny, the basketball coach, that they let me play both sports. And it was juggling. It was, especially just trying to stay in shape and obviously your schoolwork and those kind of things. And then later Charlie Ward, he went on and he did the same thing. But Florida State was one of those schools kind of before its time to let a lot of guys play 2 sports. And so it's pretty cool to say I did that. And that was, growing up as a kid, basketball was my first love and kind of kept my dream alive for 2 years in college.
And Dave mentioned earlier about your boys, both Max and Jake, going to A&M. So what do you think about the whole Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher kind of drama, or the spat that they had back and forth? Is that exciting for you guys, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm sitting at home like just everybody else, But what he said was wrong. It was completely wrong, because not every player on that team did get NIL deals like he was accused of. So very thankful that Jimbo spoke up for the team, the college, the school, the respect that they have that we deserved at A&M. So, he deserved to come back like he did. Maybe it was thought of wrong, but, you want somebody to stand up for you when it's right. So what was said was wrong on one part, and what was said on the other to defend your school was correct. So I'm happy he did it, and that's they'll play no matter what was said or not. And I'm sure there'll be a great build-up for that game October 8th, and it is what it is. It'll be a fun game to watch.
I love it, man. Who was your hero growing up, and who's your hero today?
Yeah, in basketball, I loved watching Larry Bird play. I love watching Chris Mullin play. I love watching Michael Jordan and Brad Daugherty. He was the guy I went to my high school. So those were kind of my heroes growing up as basketball players and football players. I love the guy named Phil Simms who played for the Giants, and Joe Montana and John Elway and Roger Staubach. Those were some old time guys. Dan Marino, Dan Fouts. Those are kind of the guys that I kept up with at that point.
Go back to your NFL career real quick. Something I just was thinking about. But what was it like playing against your old coach when you went to the Super Bowl? When you guys made that trade with Tony Dungy and John Gruden, you guys swapped coaches and whatnot. So how was that?
Yeah, well, Gruden came from Oakland, and then obviously it's probably for us, we were just grateful that we had him. He made a big impact on our team. He ended up bringing in 21 guys off free agency that year, and Joe Jaravicius and Ricky Dudley and Ken Dilger and Keenan McCardell, and Robert Oldham and Kerry Jenkins and Michael Pittman. So he was a big impact on our team, and so it's pretty awesome. But Bill Callahan was the head coach of the Raiders at that time, and the next year after Gruden left. So it was just pretty unique. Gruden had done unbelievable. He'd taken the Raiders to the AFC Championship with them. And then the year before that, they lost in that tuck rule game with the Patriots, with Brady and all that kind of thing. But big impact on our team, and we couldn't have done it without him.
Outside of yourself, Brad, who was the greatest athlete that you ever played with?
The two that come to my mind was Deion Sanders at Florida State, and then played with him and against him in the pros at Florida State. He was obviously great in football, but he ran track, played baseball, probably good enough to be on the basketball team. And the other great one for me, just pure athleticism, was Randy Moss. Just 6'4" guy, run all day, catch every deep ball. I think the greatest deep threat guy ever to play the game, and obviously a Hall of Famer. So those are two guys that I got to play with, and thankful I got to spend that time with them.
Hey, Brad, we appreciate getting to spend some time with you this afternoon. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time, and we'll talk to you later down the road. And good luck to Max and Jake down at Texas A&M as well.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys reaching out. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, time, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, Brad is such a great guy. Very, generous to give us his time like this. And if you're not following him on TikTok, or you follow him on Twitter as well, Instagram, Big Bad Brad 14 on TikTok. If you're not checking out those trick shots and stuff, you're really missing out. He does a great job, has a lot of fun with it, man. Big Bad Brad 14 on TikTok. We're going to take another timeout, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
30 seconds till you blow up. Hey, Braves fans. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has your chance to win weekly prizes from Slim Chicken, Rudy's Barbecue, That Boot Store, Guthrie's, and Rib Crib with Atlanta Braves Trivia. Step 1, open the ESPN Northwest Florida app and click Braves Trivia. Step 2, answer trivia about a recent game. Step 3, score some tasty prizes and come home a hero. The Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. Listen live on 104.3 in the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
Weather forecast for this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms, a blend of sun and clouds near 88. And it looks like a southwest wind about 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf 84. Showers and thunderstorms overnight, mostly cloudy in mid-70s. More showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. This weather forecast has been brought to you by KHS and Associates, your source for affordable health insurance. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Swampy Jack here. I've traveled the world for decades and brought my most exciting adventures to Panama City Beach. Encounter the 25-foot-tall Swamp Ape. This indoor scrambler ride is synchronized for a multimedia experience like you've never felt. Put the pedal to the metal, racing around the Marrakesh track in electric go-karts. Supercharge your cart with special power-ups for extra speed or to sabotage opponents. And if you're hungry, grab a meal at Swampy's Cantina or enjoy an ice-cold beer. This and more at Swampy Jack's.
The brand new Burger King in Weewa Hitchka is looking for managers and team members. You'll get to use your smile and personality and get paid for it. You'll be responsible for getting guests excited about their experience every day at Burger King. You'll get to work in a safe, productive environment that allows employees to thrive and advance with career opportunities. Burger King promotes from within. They offer training and development, flexible schedules, employee meal discounts, and scholarship opportunities. Burger King is an equal opportunity employer. Interested job seekers should text 007-8075 to 31063 to apply. Must be at least 16 years of age.
When it comes to moving your most valuable possessions, make sure you make the right choice for a smooth, hassle-free experience. Call the best Smooth Moves of Northwest Florida. They are licensed and insured. They perform full-service residential and commercial moving services, packing and unpacking, and even furniture arrangement. Smooth Moves of Northwest Florida has the lowest hourly rates in the area. Whether you're moving across town or across the country, they can handle it. Smooth Moves of Northwest Florida. Veteran-owned and operated.
Call 850-319-8925.
When you want a big-time sports show, tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
I'm going to send you up against the best.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room.
The need for speed.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, guys? We are back for hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs, talking some NFL here at Atlanta Braves, starting tonight, 6 o'clock. First pitch, 6:20. Spencer Strider on the hill for the Bravos tonight. Hopefully push that winning streak up to 9. What do you guys want to talk about here? I've got nothing left on the show sheet. We're done.
Let's let Austin pick. He's the guest.
No, we'll just talk a little NFL here, but do you have anything else you'd like to talk about?
Right off the top of my head, I mean, we could talk a little bit more about the trenches and
yeah,
because I think I had a little more to add on to that. Real quick.
Add on to it, man. I love addition.
Yeah. So with O linemen, in my personal opinion, a lot of people think like one of the hardest. Like what's the hardest position in football? A lot of people argue about that. Like if you ask players.
Yeah.
A lot, like every player says, "Oh, it's my position." You know, if there's a safety's gonna be like, "Oh, safety's the hardest because you got to cover, from sideline to sideline," which is true. That is difficult. Corners always say, corner's the hardest position in football because every single play is a track meet. You have to cover a guy who might be faster than you, and on top of that, you have to make plays in the run.
Yeah,
which
that's true.
I also agree corner is very difficult. But in my honest opinion, the hardest position is center. And the reason is because you are snapping a football, and you have to be accurate with your snaps.
And it's a lot more shotgun these days.
And a lot more shotgun, too. So, and quarterbacks, they're picky. Quarterbacks they want their snaps in a perfect spiral. And if you give them what they call ducks, if you give them a duck, a quarterback will trip out, spaz out. Oh, yeah, Peyton Manning ball. Yeah, he used to throw them all the time, yeah. Jeez. But, yeah, so quarterbacks are picky. They don't want to have to worry about catching the snap. They want to already be doing their reads, and they just want to know the ball's going to be right where their hands are. So that alone, just accurately snapping is a hard thing. Like, you'll see it in high school a lot. Like, high school centers struggle with accurate snapping because – it's hard.
That's why long snappers are so good.
That's why long snappers are special. Yeah, because long snapping's really difficult.
Yeah, I wish I would have tried that out.
Yeah,
that would have been my route to. Football.
Yeah, I don't hate on long snappers because I know it's tough to be accurate. You have to be perfect. But so centers have to be perfect too. And meanwhile, most defenses now they have a nose head up over the center because they know how difficult that is for a center to block you. So he has to snap, and you have literally less than a millisecond before you have contact with a nose guard that's, 6'3", 300 pounds.
And centers aren't normally as big. I mean, they're still big guys.
They're usually the shortest guy on the offensive line and usually the smallest, too, just because you want to be quick and nimble and be able to move your hands and move your feet quick because you got to make up for lost time because that nose guard – he can see the ball. His eyes are literally – now, obviously, the snap count as a center, so that does help you out a little bit. But the nose guard's right there, too. He's watching the ball. and the second that hand moves even a fraction, the nose guard's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so hard to make those blocks as a center when you have a head-up nose guard over you. So in my personal opinion, I think the center is the hardest position because you're – and if you have one mistake, you can kill a drive.
Mm-hmm.
One bad snap, it's going to be your fault all day, and people are quick to point fingers, and it's hard.
Plus, you got to be smart to play that position, too.
Yeah, a lot of times the center is the guy that if you have
the
right tackle is going to go, hey, who am I blocking on this? or the right guard will be like, hey, am I
where's
blocking
the mic?
down here?
Where's the mic?
What am I? Who am I blocking? Like, because a lot of those guys, I mean, they're not going to be super intelligent.
They're not there for what's the test that they take? Wonderlic.
Yeah.
And a lot of those linemen and centers, they usually come from like Ivy League schools or smart kid schools because you got to be pretty smart to play those positions.
Yeah,
that's what I've seen.
That's a good point. Kind of going back to the Ducks, though, could you imagine Peyton Manning ever saying, like, Jeff Saturday, man, you need to get those things back tight. Well, how about you throw the ball in a spiral then, Peyton?
Yeah, funny story about that. So Peyton Manning has his Manning Passing Academy, and I actually played with a guy who went to his passing academies all the time, like, just growing up, and like around like quarterbacks go to camps because that's how you get better. You train with other quarterbacks. And he went to the Manning Academy, and he said that Peyton Manning was out there, throwing footballs, him and Eli. And Eli was super laid back. Like, he'd have a bad pass and just kind of laugh about it. He said Peyton Manning would visibly get, like,
upset,
angry if he had a ball that was perfectly placed, but it was fluttering. And he said there was a lot of them that were fluttering. So he just said it was funny to see Peyton Manning's, like, face turn red and get, like, embarrassed and, like, get angry at himself. Like, you see it. He wasn't even hiding it.
Yeah.
He was like, he'd throw a ball and go, oh, like, oh, man.
So he had to do that for like 75% of his NFL passes.
Must have. I don't know. And like the kid I played with was like, yeah, like it would be a good ball, like right on the money. It wasn't pretty, but it'd get there. And he just started like, smacking his hands and like, oh man, and walking away. And
perfectionist, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very true. And you can see. I think that's one of the coolest things about. Did you get to tune into any of the Manning casts this year?
I did. I actually enjoyed watching that because. I was like obviously being a college football player, I have a little bit more football knowledge than like most people do.
Right.
So like they're talking about schemes and blocking and routes and combinations and like that all stuff is like as a football player you get interested in.
Yeah.
So I loved it.
I think that's what I loved about it the most. Not just the lingo, but the differences in Eli. The guest one that they had great guests on all the time. I think the show would be better if Eli and Peyton were in the same building. If they were in the same room, I think that show would be even better because they would know, like, when is the right time to, like, not cut each other off. It's so hard. If all three of us are trying to participate in a show and we're all in different places and we really can't see each other's faces, it's hard to know, like, when that time to go is. You know what I mean? So, but I love that about it. And it's not for your average fan because, like you said, they're throwing around the terminology there that if you don't know, you just are going to be lost to what they're talking about. So for a lot of people, it might not be as fun to watch as people who get it. You know what I mean? So I think that's awesome. But the difference in Peyton and Eli and just their personalities is a whole lot of fun to watch, and you kind of get to know those guys a little bit better. I think that's,
I would like to see that with like the NHL try to do something like that, man, and get some players.
Who would you
pick? Yeah.
Well,
because
I would say somebody
Wayne.
I would say Jeremy Roenick, but he got in trouble in the last couple of years with some stuff, so I don't think like the networks would mess with him, even though he'd be a good, colorful guy, So
you need somebody colorful.
Yeah, you gotta have people that are definitely like pretty quick.
Wayne's too kind of like even killed from what I've seen on him on TNT this year.
I would like to see somebody like a older, like a goon or enforcer type guy, along with like more of like a skilled type player, and that way you get a couple different perspectives. Right offhand, I'd have a tough time thinking of a couple of guys, but maybe I can work on that and come up with some later.
If Joe Thornton ever retires, he might not be a bad one for that. Golly, man. I didn't even know, like, this whole year I had no idea that he was still playing hockey because it's just, you know what I mean? It's been time. It feels, in my mind anyways, because he's been playing before I even got into hockey. And then to see him on the Florida Panthers in that series, I was like, where have I been this year? Joe Thornton's still playing hockey and it's undecided on next year. What in the world is going on? But I'm trying to think of some other enforcers that would be great for that role. But what's another sport? I think basketball could benefit from that as well.
Yeah, I'd listen to like Allen Iverson. I don't know if like he has a podcast. I think I've heard him a couple times. He's a pretty like funny like character.
Because it's got to be lighthearted in those like
Oh,
Manning
yeah.
cast type things. They got, I think it's Joe Buck doing a golf one.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch that.
I didn't watch it when they did have it on, but I can't imagine it being that good. But golf is good with monotone,
I was
right?
gonna say he would be the perfect guy for golf because
yeah.
of his monotone and his not like getting excited and just being kind of bland and vanilla and boring. So yeah, he'd be probably perfect for golf.
Yeah, I can. I mean, you could probably do this for any sport. Like,
oh yeah,
like I love the fact that the UFC has Joe Rogan as like a color analyst because Joe Rogan's hilarious.
Oh,
I mean,
he's great.
He says stuff all the time that I'm watching fights, and I'm like, I can't believe you just said
plus
that.
the benefit too, a lot of that's on pay-per-view, so you can say a lot more stuff and
Yeah.
get away with a lot more too.
Yeah, but do y'all remember? Oh, what was it? Maybe it was like the first Jake Paul fight. Man, I can't even remember the Triller. I think it was Triller.
Yeah.
All right, and it was one of their first broadcast or their first pay-per-views, and those guys took it to the extreme. I mean, it was like F this, F that, like, and they were talking bad about every single box. It was when Nate Robinson, I believe, was boxing, and they were just like barraging the boxers with just like terrible negative comments. It's like that's not necessarily
Like a roast.
like you don't got to be overly
some of those
positive.
guys that were fighting on that card were terrible.
Oh,
Like,
right.
But the first three fights, I was like,
what is this? But why even put a card together like that? I don't have a problem with them making fun as much as just like you should at least try to find some positives there so that y'all can have another event and people tune back into it. Because if not, I'm not paying to watch trash over and over again.
They probably just threw that one together and did what they could, and then you learn from your mistakes.
well, I know like his third fight, he fought Tyron Woodley.
Yeah,
that was actually legitimate card. Like most of those fighters before leading up to him were actual professional boxers.
Right.
And they were you were trained fighters. And it was actually entertaining boxing. They weren't big names or anything. They were guys that are fighting
up and coming and stuff,
to try to make it.
Doing it the right way.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Not cheating. Yeah, yeah. So that card was actually good. I enjoyed watching that one. And then
so give me your thoughts on Jake Paul and just like this whole show that it's been.
I think after watching him beat Tyron Woodley, he obviously does have technique.
He does. Yeah, he's
not just some guy that's Tyron Woodley is a good fighter. Now, he's not a boxer, but he's a good fighter. And he won quite a few UFC fights with his boxing. So he is talented. I think Jake Paul will actually – I'm still not sold on like how good he is yet because, again, he hasn't fought an actual like legitimate professional boxer. So I'm waiting for him to do that. I would love to see him fight Fury.
Yeah.
Or off the top of my head, that's the first one that pops in. I know that they've been talking about it. Like, if he does that, then I'll have it. Even if he loses that fight, it's still respect.
But you actually fought like a real professional boxer with a real record.
Because
but is Tommy Fury living in Tyson's shadow? Like, does he kind of get that same benefit as what we were talking about with Joe Buck?
Oh, he's going to. That's going to help him out, but he'll get exposed if he's junk and, he can't fight, And then after that, then nobody will, pay him no attention. Nobody will buy his fights or, promote a fight for him.
No, I see why Tommy Fury wouldn't want to take that game, though. And it's kind of similar to, when big schools play – a lot of schools don't want to play North Dakota State, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Boise State 20 years ago.
Yeah,
everybody was afraid to go to Boise State and play those guys because if they got looked bad, they were going to be embarrassed.
Even if you barely win that game, it looks bad on you because you're supposed to win. You're supposed to blow them out. Iowa State got beat by North Dakota State. What was that, 2013, 2014, I want to say, somewhere around there? I think it was when they had Carson Wentz still.
I think he didn't lose when he was there.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah. No, he did not. And I just remember.
I think that if they played, then that'd probably be right.
Yeah, I believe it was when they still had Carson Wentz. And after that, you started noticing, hey, people aren't scheduling them anymore. I wonder why. Because if you play them, they're a smaller school. They have less scholarships. But it's not a guarantee win, first of all. And second of all, there's no benefit to it. You're basically paying them to have a shot at beating you. And that's kind of similar, like Tommy Fury. Why would he want to take this fight with Jake Paul? Because, if he wins, everybody's going to be like, well, way to go. You should have won.
Yeah, and look where you came from. Look at your genes and your genetics.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then if he barely wins the fight, people are going to go, oh, Tommy Fury's nothing. He's terrible.
Yeah.
You know,
Anybody
Jake Paul beat,
anybody
done.
Jake Paul beats is basically going to have that exact same. Well, he's not good enough. Bring another.
Yeah. So I mean, I could see why Tommy Fury probably wouldn't want to take the fight because it really isn't a benefit.
It's not a win-win
unless
at
he
all.
absolutely
Unless it's
like
money.
just money could be
Unless the money is big there, and then that might entice
Which
you.
I know Jake Paul. I saw on Twitter like however many years ago it might have been about a year ago. When he first started talking about trying to fight Tommy Fury, he was offering him like huge contracts, and Tommy Fury wasn't even responding to it because he just doesn't want to take that fight. Which hopefully eventually that changes because I would love to see it, but.
Yeah, I'm with you though. Not sold on it, but you can't count him out yet because you have seen he possesses some type of skill. Just to what level that skill and the potential lies at. Back to Iowa State and North Dakota State. They played in 2009, and Iowa State won 34-17. Then they played in 2014. Both of these games, I believe, both of them were at Iowa State, and North Dakota State beat them 34-14 in 2014.
Blew them out.
Blew them out. They returned the favor of the 2009 whooping that they took.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's right there, and basically at the beginning or maybe the second year into North Dakota State's like what run did they have? Like
was it 6
years?
years?
6 or 7
of
winning, man. And it's even tougher, in my opinion. I can't tell you how the competition is stacked up in D2, but you actually have a
real
big
tournament.
tournament.
Well, they're actually Division I FCS.
Okay.
So they're still like really.
Right.
I played against Stetson University my freshman year, and Stetson's in the Division I FCS.
Mm-hmm.
And Stetson's the year that we played them, they're in the Pioneer League, and the Pioneer League's more like it's kind of like the Ivy League, but not quite as prestigious. The Pioneer League's I think it's a little more newer than the Ivy League. And playing against a team like that, I was also thinking, like, okay, I'm curious to see how good the talent level is, even though it's still Division I, and you have to remind yourself that they are FCS, so they have, I believe it's like 20-something less scholarships than the FBS schools do.
Mm-hmm.
They have 63, I know that. And going there and playing Stetson down in Florida, I realized quickly, like, these guys are free. And that year was the year they had Donald Parham, who's the current tight end for the San Diego Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Or not San Diego, the LA Chargers.
LA Chargers.
Yeah.
I do that all the time too. Still saying Oakland Raiders all the time.
I played against Donald Parham as a freshman, and I mean, seeing him, they had him, and nobody even knew who he was at this point. I just remember seeing this 6'8" guy. I'm like, what is he doing here? Stetson, like, why is he, and then he obviously, like, a funny story, when he played against Waldorf, against us, we tried to game plan for him. We had nothing. We had no idea what to do because he's 6'8", he runs like a 4 or 5.
They just throw it up there, he goes and gets it.
Yeah, and my roommate, as a true freshman at safety, he was tasked with trying to cover him all game.
Boy.
And they pulled Parham by halftime, and it was he had 3 catches for like 130-something yards and 3 touchdowns.
Nice.
That sounds like you're playing a game of Madden with your creative player.
Every time he touched the ball, he was gone. And he would take one stride, and it'd go like 6 yards. Like, it was, I watching him run, I was like,
6'8" guy.
Whoa. Like, holy smoke. It was scary.
2 steps, first down.
Terrifying. And my roommate, he was crying because he's like, man, what do I do? I can't press him because he's 6'8", 230. He goes, he's bigger than me. Yeah. He goes, I can't play off of him because he just jumps over me. And then we tried to double team him. We couldn't. It was just.
Get a ladder with some wheels on it.
It was ridiculous. And then sure enough, like, obviously, like a year or 2 later, I see him on the XFL, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's where he went.
And then he made the move
and then he made it to the league. Yeah,
that's a dope journey right there.
Heck yeah.
And I wasn't saying anything about the competition itself. Really, the whole point of it was they got to get through a whole entire playoff, a real playoff. It's not just win 2 games and you're in. You got to do it consistently. And then to do that for 6 or 7 years, that's absolutely insane, man. We do got to take a break. We'll be quick with it, though, and then we'll be right back, and we'll talk some NFL questions here.
I knew that I wouldn't. ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Thanks for nominating the Afternoon Underdogs as David Hayes for Best Radio Personality in Bay County. Vote for David and ESPN Northwest Florida in the Best of Bay with the Panama City News Herald. Voting's going to run July 1st through the 18th. For more details, keep listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, and remember, for a brighter tomorrow, vote David Hayes in 2022.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts in Delhi. Call 763-1627.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likas with today's Car Clinic Minute. Wow, what a brain! No, I'm not talking about the class valedictorian or the scarecrow after he reached Oz. This brain's inside your car. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likas Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Einstein's got nothing on your car's ECM or electronic control module. Like human brains, ECMs gather data from the environment and make adjustments to optimize performance. For example, this onboard computer adapts fuel delivery, seat positions, cabin temperature, braking, and emissions. It also alerts you to potential problems and notifies you for service. Like all brains, your ECM's sensitive to environmental abuse. So follow the Scarecrow's lead. Take your ECM for scheduled service to the Oz Service Center of your choice. I'm Bobby Likas. Likas, you'll love us.
From Mariana to Panama City, from Southport to Laguna Beach, this is the Panhandle's home for live and local sports coverage. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room. ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, welcome back in, man. Bay Handyman Services. They listen better, they plan better, and they build better. Reach them on their website, bayhandymanservices.com. They hold a 5-star rating. They'll do anything from hanging pictures to full house remodels. 850-753-5014. Let's get into some NFL here. Which team is your favorite player to, or which team is your favorite to win the Super Bowl for next season? And don't use your favorite team unless you really think they got a chance. I'm gonna go on record here and say I'm not expecting the Tennessee Titans to get to the Super Bowl this year. Where are you at on that?
I'm not expecting
okay, all right,
to see
then
my
now we
team
can
to go either.
all right, we could do this regular.
Nice.
It would be great.
Did you really think I was going to say the Eagles or something?
Well, just because of the offseason that they had, I mean, y'all did have a great offseason.
From like winning 8 games to winning 15 or something like that, And I imagine that's what you're probably going to end up having to do, or the Super Bowl champion's going to be ended up having 14 win season or something. I imagine.
Yeah, 14-3. That's
something like that. I mean, that's typically usually see one team or do something like that about every year. So why not? I mean,
so who's your favorite for this year?
How can you not go with the Rams again? That's what I was going to say. I mean, if it's not them, it's going to be like the Bills, I guess. So one or the other
Rams,
for
Bills
me,
because
I think that's my 2 number 1 seeds right now. When we actually were making our picks this past week, doing the show. So going along with that, it'd have to be one of those 2 teams. Right now, based off of how the conference is shaked out, I would say the Rams got the easier road because the AFC is going to be tougher than the NFC. So that's why I would say the Rams.
I think the Rams are going to go deep for sure. I mean, they're almost a lock to at least have a shot at it. I feel like right now, based off of the off seasons, I think that it's probably going to either be. I think Tampa Bay will probably make it again.
Mm-hmm.
My dark horse pick that I think really actually might be the favorite in my opinion, the Chargers. They had an unbelievable offseason. They signed Khalil Mack, obviously, from the Bears, and now you have Khalil Mack on one side, and you've got I'm blanking on his name now.
Bosa?
Bosa, yeah. You got Bosa on the other side. That alone right there, freakish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you as offensive tackles, you have to plan for,
which guy?
He's going to be on the other side. Okay, I'm good on this one. I'm good on this drive. But no, now you got 2 of them, so it's going to be a lot of one-on-one blocking for those 2. So I think their defense is going to carry them. Plus, they've still got their
Derwin James,
too.
Derwin
James, and I mean, their defense is going to be crazy.
Yeah, they got him. Yeah, they got him from the Patriots.
Defense is going to be ridiculous. And then you got Justin Herbert on the other side.
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be – and they still got the wide receiver
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
And Mike Williams, yep. So
about the only weak spot's probably tight end.
Hey, we were just talking about a guy.
Who's that?
Parham?
Oh, Parham, yeah. I'm like, wait, what?
Stick up for your
Parham.
Well,
Yeah, Parham. Parham's actually the starter now. He was their goal line threat, and then their starter, I can't remember his name, but they traded him away to the Patriots.
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry, that's right, yeah. So Parham's kind of slid into the starting role now. So yeah, I think the Chargers will make a deep run.
So that's who my favorite for the Super Bowl this year is actually the Chargers. So I'll go AFC Championship, Chargers, Bills for the AFC Championship. And then the NFC, I just don't know if they're going to be able to back-to-back it. But Matt Stafford's been an incredible quarterback his entire career. The Rams ain't lost nothing outside of really Odell. He might re-sign with them still. They got Allen Robinson now. Allen Robinson's going to be so thankful to be out of Chicago, no offense, that he might be, you know what I mean? He might stay healthy.
I don't blame him.
He might be healthy for a full 17-game slate here. So Chargers, Bills, AFC, and then in the NFC, Bucks, Rams. I guess I'm just going to have to do it for now and then just see how the season plays out. Let me see 3 weeks and I'll have a better.
It's chalk, but, whatever.
Yeah. Bucks, Rams, Chargers, Bills. That'll be a lot of fun. With the NFC probably being the weaker conference at this point in time, at least just the way that we look at it. Are you looking for more NFC teams than AFC teams? Are you looking more at NFC teams than AFC teams, given the potential easier path to the Super Bowl? So, you know what I mean? Is there more wide open routes available in the NFC rather than what we're seeing in the AFC because it's so convoluted?
I would say no, actually. I mean, there's a handful of favorites in the NFC. Okay, so you got the Bucks, you got like I said, the Rams. But then after that, when you're talking division winners, okay, like we were talking, not everybody I guess is sold on Green Bay because of Devontae Adams not being there. They're gonna have to run the hell out of the ball. Okay, and then in the East, the East has been pretty weak. I got Philly coming out of it. Some people may say Dallas, but still, neither one of those two teams has been extremely dominating. For quite a while. So after that, you really don't have a whole lot, and then if you look at the AFC though, I mean, you got all kinds of stacked teams out there. I know they said the West is going to be really, tough. We kind of agreed, a bunch of us thinking that the Broncos really maybe weren't going to do anything, or at least me and Boston Tim did.
I don't.
Earlier in the week.
I mean,
remember you did
it
too.
could be with Russell Wilson, but I don't think so. I think both teams had the same exact record last year at 7-10, so I don't know how much just him moves the needle.
But then you got just out in the West, you got Raiders, you got the Chiefs, you got the Chargers we were just talking about. That's three teams right there that's going to make it tough. And then, Cincinnati, even if they take a step back, they're still going to be really good. Pittsburgh, hopefully is going to be on the way up. They're always consistent and always have a winning record. Baltimore should probably make the playoffs. We talked about the Bills. Miami may or may not do something. So I think there's a lot, more teams in the AFC that actually have an opportunity as opposed to the NFC.
Here's a question for Pittsburgh. Do you think they start Trubisky or they start
Pickett?
Pickett, yeah.
I think the smart move is to start Trubisky. I mean, you can always go to Pickett, but if you start Pickett early and he struggles and then you got to yank him and you got to bench him again, that could hurt his confidence. So I don't know why you want to do that. Start with Trubisky, see what happens, get the team rolling, get, Pickett learning the playbook a little bit more. Unless during the preseason, I mean, Trubisky just looks like junk and then, Pickett's blowing him away. Then you got to go with the hot guy and the right guy, and not even start Trubisky. But I would try to keep Pickett on the bench at least for a little while.
What do you think?
I mean, I had never thought Trubisky was bad. I mean, he just didn't have the tools with the Bears. They just did not set him up for success at all.
Are you glad Nagy's gone?
Yeah, at the time I thought because we did have a couple good years with him, and I was still thinking about that year that the Bears made it, had 12-4 and, made it deep in the playoffs. I was like, that sticks in your mind. But it just, there's so many decisions that were made that you're just like I don't understand what they're trying to do or what.
Especially last year with the back and forth between Fields to start and Fields not starting anymore.
At that point, as a quarterback, a lot of times they want continuity. They want to be able to get in a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're flipping back and forth between the two of them, now it makes them both feel like, okay, they don't trust me. And now if you have two quarterbacks feeling like they don't trust you, now you can't go to one.
Yeah.
And then you had Foles or Nick Foles
And that affects
sitting
the
as
rest
a
of
third
the team
stringer.
in a sense too, right?
Oh yeah. But the worst part is you had Nick Foles sitting as your third stringer, eating up so much of the salary cap it wasn't even funny, and that didn't help either.
Right.
Because that's money that you could have got somebody to actually maybe
Catch
help
the
our
ball.
DBs out.
Or that, yeah.
Because our DBs were a liability. So.
What do you think about Eberflus being the new coach?
I think the defense is going to be like a lot better. I mean, they were like I said, the DBs were a liability last year. The DB core has been fixed at the draft with a bunch of young guys now, and so I think the defense is going to recover even without Khalil Mack because Khalil Mack wasn't really producing last year like he normally does, and we have a younger guy behind him who. They're planning to step into the role, so I think the defense will be fine. The question mark is going to be the receivers because they have none.
Yeah.
There's no big name guys at least, so I'm hoping one of those guys will pop off. It's probably not likely because those guys have been. Pringle's been with the Chiefs for.
I was about
years.
to say, like I saw Justin Fields like put a list out of, or maybe it wasn't him, but a Bears fan or something put a list out, and Justin Fields was expressing confidence in these guys. You know, like these are our guys, we're good. And I'm like looking through the names, I'm like, it's like your best receiver is somebody else's like fourth best receiver.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney's good. He's a solid receiver, but he's not the type of guy to like
dominate
get double
the game.
teamed and still be open. Like
he's not a one.
No, he's a amazing second choice though. Like when we had Allen Robinson, he benefited so much because teams were bracketing Allen Robinson, giving him one-on-one coverage. Darnell Mooney's getting open every time. We just didn't have anybody throwing the ball. So
do you believe what's your confidence level in Justin Fields then?
I don't know. I was excited at first, and then they threw him into the fire last year, and he sunk a little bit. It was like a sink or swim type situation. And he did some games he swam, but other games he sunk and drowned.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll have to wait one more season because this season is actually his. It's his team. It's him. They got Trevor Siemian as a backup, so if it goes bad,
y'all are going to be bad again.
We'll be bad again, but we'll take a draft pick.
Hey, no doubt. It's going to be
draft next year will be a lot better.
At least quarterback-wise, definitely. I'm in the same boat though. As if I'm Pittsburgh, I got to go with Trubisky at first, and then if it doesn't work out, because not only did he do good things with the Bears that went under the radar, but then he got a year under Brian Daboll and Josh Allen, so to be in that quarterback room, and Trubisky's not as big as Josh Allen, but kind of similar in the mobility.
Similar player, yeah.
Yeah, similar player, so maybe that could really be beneficial for the Bears. For the whatever.
I don't know. I catch myself sometimes like wishing, like, man, I miss the Jay Cutler days. Like, it was bad.
Hey, speaking of somebody that could do a Manning cast,
Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler's funny. He's hilarious.
He'd be smoking cigarettes in there.
He just doesn't care.
Oh no, he doesn't.
That's the thing. When you don't care, you just say whatever. You're not trying to like have this image of trying to project something that you're not.
Like if he didn't like somebody that he was playing with on the Bears, he was absolutely clear about it. He's like, hey, I don't like him. What are you going to do about it? Like, and as a Bears fan at the time, we hated it because the locker room's falling apart. But now looking back at it, it was pure entertainment.
But you had to look at his body language, though, too, when he was on the field, and that was pretty bad, though, when you saw him walking around the sidelines and throwing tantrums and stuff, and that's not good.
A while ago, I was looking up, like me and my teammates were getting bored, and we just look up, like, NFL players' high school highlights because it's just fun to watch. I saw Jay Cutler's high school highlights. And believe it or not, he was returning punts in high school.
No way.
Returning kicks and punts. He played safety, and he was a hard-hitting safety. Like, he was coming downhill and, like, laying people out, taking punts for touchdowns. Like,
I would never expect either one of those two things.
So much more than just a quarterback. I was shocked. I'm like, what? Like, it was insane.
And then he got spoiled.
We
got to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Braves Country.
This is unbelievable.
The Atlanta Braves are on an amazing 8-game winning streak. Can they keep it going tonight versus the Pirates? Coverage starts at 6 right after the Afternoon Underdogs on your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to go with your hot dog. Because when you're chomping on America's favorite meal, relish, mustard, and onions perfectly blending into a crescendo of flavor, there's only one thing that makes everything about that moment better. A cold, refreshing Pepsi. See what I mean? It's like music to my ears. Hot dogs. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
I'm Matt Glover with Aero Pest Service, and we are your family-owned and operated pest control company in Bay County since 1977. Did you know termites do more damage every year than fires, floods, and storms combined? And all they need is a width of a sheet of paper to get in your home. But I can tell you that it's completely preventable. You can protect the most valuable investment you have by calling us today. Give us a call today at Aero Pest Service, 850-874-1900.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer. We are located on 2241 East Baldwin Road, Panama City. Shopping for an 8-foot to 16-foot in width or 10-foot to 60-foot in length, cabin, garage, portable building, whatever the needs are. Remember, at Stormore, we can insulate our buildings. We can put electric on, thermal windows, transom dormers. There's so much we can do. Stormore Portable Buildings, 2241 East Baldwin Road.
Now back to the most dangerous afternoon show on terrestrial radio.
Danger's my middle name.
It's illegal in 5 states. The Afternoon Underdogs, inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, it's time for the local high school spotlight. Don't forget, Atlanta Braves coverage starting at 6 o'clock. Spencer Strider is going to be throwing the first. Oh, he won't be throwing the. He'll be throwing the first pitch at 6:20 tonight, man. So it should be a great game. A couple of things to do with the local high school spotlight. We've got a Panama City Beach police officer is going to be competing in the U.S. Police Olympics. I didn't even know. Did you know there was Police Olympics?
I did not know. I knew they had
something
for firefighting and like firefighting skills, but I didn't know about police.
I know like a lot of these like police and fire academies, they've got like everything now. They've got like football teams. They've got like
This is cool though. It's Shakia Wimberly. She's set to compete this year in the 2022. It's police and fire championships. It's going to be in California this weekend. They're set up just like the Olympics. Dozens of athletic events for the qualifying law enforcement officers. She's going to be competing in 3 running events: the 100-meter hurdles, the 400-meter hurdles, and the 200-meter sprint.
Okay, so this is actually going to be like sporting events. I thought they were going to be like doing police type stuff.
That would be kind of. It would be dope if they had like both of those, though,
well,
right?
Like
intertwined.
I think they have something where like you got to like run upstairs with like a hose over your shoulder and like I guess you get timed and like other stuff like that. So I was thinking this is be more to akin to that than actually like Olympics. Where
the police Olympics got a
make them wrestle.
A javelin, or doing like a hammer throw, or
firemen versus policemen wrestling, or if you're doing something like that, the police have to go. Their Olympics is like they got to go through the stadium and there's like marks that are set up to be bad guys or whatever. They got to go get them, and the first person to get the first 3 or whatever, or the fastest to get to the 3, that'd be pretty neat. But yeah, this is awesome. She ran track at FSU before she got on the police force, so this is really cool for her. It was always her dream to compete in the Olympics. So she's doing this this Saturday, San Diego, June 11th. So let's hope that she kills it.
Should be like a good street cop like they do in the movies when they got to run somebody down in like the downtown area, like, trying to chase them down. Super quick. She probably get them.
Hey, that's what you already know off rip. Don't run from Officer Wimberly because she's gonna get you. Hurdles and all, son. It don't matter.
I'm curious what her 100-meter dash time is.
Yeah, we'll find out. 100-meter was with the hurdles for her, so 100-meter hurdles, 400-meter hurdles, holy cow, and 200-meter sprint. So we
Shoot
can
for a
just
fly then.
yeah, 200-meter sprint, dude. There's also tryouts for Panama City Beach Junior Lifeguard Camp this weekend. So for children ages 9 to 15, camp participants will take part in activities like swimming, paddling, surfing, running, race relays, conducting rescues, wildlife education. And they'll also learn the beach flag system, which I could teach you really quick. 2 red flags, keep your tail out of the water.
That's it.
To register your child, you must be able to, or your child must, I was about to say, why would they make sure the adults got to swim? To register your child must be able to swim 100 yards, swim 10 yards underwater, and tread water for 5 minutes. This is taking place at Frank Brown Park at the Aquatic Center this Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. On Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Registration will be held at the tryouts. And then the camp takes place July 11th through the 15th and July 25th through the 29th. The cost of the camp's $100 and it includes a rash guard and a water bottle. Each camp's going to have about 25 participants. So it looks like we've got 50 spots. You can sign up for a tryout slot. You can contact CHAY.cook@pcbfl.gov. All right, so what are you guys looking forward to in the sporting world the most this weekend? Pretty slow right now.
Well, we got the playoffs, right? So tonight you got Celtics and you got Golden State tonight.
Yeah, who wins tonight? Real quick, who wins tonight? Tie it up for the Golden State Warriors, or do the Celtics take a commanding lead in the series?
Even with Steph being hurt, I think Golden State comes out to play to try to tie it up. Maybe we see somebody like Jordan Poole step up and get a bunch of points or something like that.
Austin, what you got?
I think because Celtics are at home, they're gonna and they're riding obviously a big win. I think the Celtics will win again.
All right, man. Y'all heard it here first. It's been a great afternoon. We'll be back with you Monday at 4 p.m. Coach James Hill Show will be live Monday at 7 a.m. Y'all have a great weekend. Be safe out there. Buckle up.